What up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter Live. My name is Verno. Stoked to be here tonight for Zombie Fest as we continue with one of the most important and influential films of the 21st century, 28 Days Later. Yeah, buddy. All right, what up? What's going on, everybody? How we doing? We're doing Steph's pick tonight, 28 Days Later. So, welcome to the show, Steph. What's going on, my brother?
I'm doing good. Excited to be. I caught my kids. He was sick with something, and he gave it to me, bro. So it's like I'm over here bundled up, trying to stay warm.
I like the robe, bro. I
thought it was a stylistic decision, and I was all behind it. I was
looking
like,
good, brother. You looking good, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna blame Steph for getting robes next week. We're all gonna just have our robes. Blame Steph.
You guys know, usually as soon as the show's over, you guys see that I've got a blanket wrapped around my legs down here that I bring up because it's always so fucking cold back here. But I don't today. I'm sitting here wearing shorts. But I'm glad you made it, Steph. I'm glad you're feeling good enough. I knew you were going to miss 28 Days Later, so I appreciate you, brother. Mr. Fable in the house just moved Blame Fable and his amazing friends with or without Nick from Comic Culture. A new date, new time, Fridays at 9 Eastern. What's up, brother?
Chilling, man. I've been part of a lot of these movie streams, and sometimes these movies are totally hard to find. Sometimes they're expensive to rent, but I've never had a movie where I wasn't available anywhere.
Right.
Like not even to buy or rent.
I know.
Kudos to you for another first.
Hey, I got really lucky. I just looked one day randomly on Amazon, and the French version was there. And I got like the one copy that was there. Bought it, it was gone, and now it was just a one-day thing. But it is on Sling TV. We were talking about it ahead of time. If anyone's looking to watch it, if you know what the fuck Sling TV is or how to access that, that's where it is. Where did you find it, Fable? You found it on some
Daily Motion, man. It's just a regular website, just like a YouTube knockoff site. Daily Motion used to try to compete with YouTube back in the days, and they still exist. And they have the whole movie there, including the alternate ending. I mean, it's probably the DVD version. It ain't the 4K Blu-ray one, but but it was good. It was good. A decent picture quality.
Nice, perfect. It's Stu. Welcome to the show. Is that how you watched it? How were you able to find it?
Yeah, shout out to. I was about to shout him out first. Shout out to Fable because I wouldn't have found this otherwise. Yeah, it was Daily Motion for me too. Mine, I put it on the TV and it kept crashing like every 20-30 minutes, which was kind of bummer, but regardless, it had the alternate ending, and it's a shame. I think this in that way, this movie is a good case for physical media and owning a flick, you know what I mean? Because it's a great movie. What it did for the zombie genre in the early 2000s is legendary. So yeah, it was crazy that it was Sling TV was the only option.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I said, dude, I'm hoping, or this was my hope. I'm like, okay, they just announced that they're doing a sequel is officially in the works. Danny Boyle, director, Alex Garland, the writer, who has since writing this movie went on to have a pretty solid and really interesting directorial career so far. So they're teaming back up. They're doing the sequel or another sequel because there's already been a 28 weeks later, not done by those two. But I'm thinking, okay, cool. They'll make a 4K. I'm like, they're gonna release a 4K of 28 Days Later. It needs a remastering. And then today I'm looking into it, and it's kind of hard to find information on it. But anybody out there, if I'm wrong, correct me. I don't fucking know this for sure, but on Reddit threads that I was reading through, people are explaining it was shot. Link, you told me this. It was like one of the first movies that was shot on digital, and it was. They thought it was a creative, stylistic decision. They wanted that gritty look. And for me, like not knowing that and buying the Blu-ray, I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw this on. I'm like, what is wrong with this French Blu-ray? The fuck are they doing in France? Because it looks terrible. But come to find out, it's just that's what it is. The cameras that they were shooting on maxed out at 480p is what I'm told. And supposedly there's no way to remaster it and make it 4K. I don't know how people do that in the first place, but you can't do it with this. So this is what we got. Hell, while we're on the topic, does it bother any of you guys? Is it an issue?
I think it adds a lot to it, actually. It has this like live TV quality almost, but like really low res, like you said, like almost like you could see scan lines in it,
right,
or just faintly, you know what I mean? But I think that actually lends a lot to it, to the post-apocalyptic feel of it.
Right.
I
It almost
completely
feels
agree.
like someone found a camera and then filmed it in the apocalypse,
Yeah.
kind of a deal. Like they couldn't get film. Film is extinct at this point, or they didn't know how to operate those cameras. So were any of you guys watching on a big TV? Because some of the stuff that I read is it's almost the best way to watch this now is on a phone or on a computer or on an iPad. It works well that way.
I can totally see that. I like watching it on the trying to watch it on daytime on my flat screen was, I think, definitely can see how like a phone or anything like with a smaller resolution and like right there for you is can be better for you. But yeah.
Right, hell yeah, man. Let's say what's up at the chat real quick. We got Rogue collecting in the house. Appreciate you being here as always.
Rogue, what
Manny up in here. Appreciate you,
Baby.
man. Killing it. You guys go check out Manuary. I try to do you justice there, Manny, but he's killing it.
Everybody's
on the channel.
co-producer. Yeah.
Nick, Comic Culture in the house. Sorry about the little dig at the intro. Kenneth Bird up in here. Chill out, man. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And this Stu guy, I don't know who this guy is, but he's always creeping in the chat, and I always appreciate him being here. So if I missed anybody, I do apologize. So again, really appreciate you guys beginning the night with us. Zombie Fest has been a great start to the year for me, dude. So I'm really glad of how well this is going. And it all started because I asked Link, what do you want to watch? If you could watch any movie in the world for us to review. And I knew he was going to pick 28 Days Later. And I already had this whole month planned out around it. And I'm like, please say 28 Days Later. And of course he did. So Link, tell me, this isn't, I heard you say it last night on Supreme Clientele or 2 nights ago, that this isn't just one of your favorite horror movies. This is one of your favorite movies, period. So why, my friend? Why?
Yes.
And I agree. But why?
It's there's flaws in the movie, like particularly the third act gets a little I can see I can throw some people off because many different reasons. We'll get into that later. But I don't know. I just feel like as a horror movie, like usually most of the time, like horror movies, I know Danny Boyle doesn't like to classify it as that, but they're very tropish. Very rarely do you give a shit about the characters or think they're doing a solid job at acting. And this movie is like the complete opposite of that. It's like you care about Jim, Selena, Hannah, Frank, even the bad guy, the main general at the end. He's a piece of shit, but there's layers to him. He's not mustache twirling. Like they're very layered characters in this movie. And and when what can be said about the running zombies? When I saw this my freshman year of high school, I was like, how the fuck has no one ever done this before? Like, why did it take this long? But it went on to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, James Gunn, so I don't know. And I like the very I'm a big fan of the camera effect. I wish we could get it more clarity, like make the picture a little easier to watch. It does add to it though, but it's like someone was saying, I think you said it's easier to watch on a phone. It's more compressed, but when you put it on a big screen, that's when you really start to see like, but it does add to the charm of the film. But I love it for being so different than your average horror movie. It's a nice amalgamation of, could easily just be a sci-fi movie, but could just be a horror movie at the same time. Right. I love it. I just love it.
And it's like 2/3 drama is what it is. And this is another thing that is cool about the zombie subgenre in general. It kind of has crossover with action movies. You know what I mean? You don't see a lot of machine guns in a slasher or a ghost story, but put on a zombie flick, you're going to see some machine gun action, which always makes them entertaining. At least they're not usually that boring. Yeah. Even the bad ones that I've watched, they're pretty entertaining at least. But Fable, what about you, brother? What's your history with the film, and how did you enjoy the rewatch overall?
I saw this in the movies when it first came out. I loved it when it first came out. I can't say that I've revisited many times throughout the years, but I remember saying, feeling like it was really solid. at what it was doing. You know what I mean? It I mean, it is a zombie movie in a sense, right? I mean, they do like try to bite you, right, and eat you, or hunger for flesh or whatever it is. So, but I don't know. I kind of like, it's a monster movie in a lot of ways too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just zombie, you know, but it has a lot of the zombie tropes in it.
Oh yeah.
The thing that I think sets this one apart from everything that's come before, because this is not a wholly original story, right? It's like, you know, anarchy, what happens to humans in a, you know, post-apocalyptic thing. But I think this is like one of the first times that you see a complete journey of somebody. Right? Like that's what it is. Like you said, the drama, it's like you see this guy wake up and you kind of don't know what he's like either. You're in the dark about his personality as well. So he kind of reveals himself, and then you see his whole arc from beginning to end. And I think that's the first, because in the Romero movies, the characters are very tropey, right? You got the action hero, and you got the, you know what I mean? They're very defined, and you know what they're going to do in these situations because of their definition. Whereas this is a blank slate, and this guy goes through something, and it changes him and the people around him. So yeah, that's what I think is special about this one.
Hell yeah, man. I get what you're saying. I think it does. It's not really inventing anything new, right? It's just taking a different angle at it and then executing it differently. Like just the origin, which we're going to get into in a minute, or not the origin, but the beginning, the way that we find ourselves in this world is what's so goddamn unique about it. And then to just touch on real quick, the running zombie bit. If you watched the episode last week, or if you watched Return of the Living Dead, you will know that they have crazy fast running zombies in that movie, but it's done differently. Like, it's just, that's what they did. That's what's so influential about this movie. If you watch any Asian zombie flick now, they're 28 days later zombies. In Return of the Living Dead, they were fast, but they didn't have like the erratic movement and like all the things that we get from the zombies in this movie. That is what we see now. And even in The Walking Dead, they don't have like the Asian way of like the way that they move, but they sound like that. They're like hissing at you and shit. And that
hiss, the hiss became part of it, and the blood red eyes.
Yeah, dude. Good. Oh my god, that's so effective in this.
And these things, and these things throw up on you.
Yeah.
You know, they don't necessarily have to bite you in order to change you. They can just drip bodily fluids.
Like, so can we talk about that real quick? Like, all right, we'll get to it later. I guess we'll get to it in the third.
Well, let me just,
because I guess that's where it happens the most. I didn't know what was happening with every attack. Are they, are they eating them, or are they throwing up on them? We never got like.
It just gives people they're fucking pissed off times 10. Like, so it's like any violent thing they would do, like in, you know. It's just bringing out their bad side. Like they technically don't eat you like zombies, but they'll bite the shit out of you because they want to inflict pain. Like they'll tear you the fuck up because they just want, you know, they're just rage times 10. But they don't technically eat you like zombies.
Like those, the zombies that we see in the church. There's all these dead bodies around. They're not sitting there chowing on it. They're just sleeping with them for some weird reason. That's another thing that's strange about them. They don't. Well, first of all, they don't populate the universe with them. They're not like out just wandering around. And if they are, we never see them like that. So they're unique in that way.
Yeah, I want to say that they don't eat people, and they call it the rage. I mean, that's what they call the virus.
Yeah.
But there is a thing where at the end they're like emaciated, so it looks like they don't have sustenance of some sort.
Right.
I'm wondering if, you know, maybe biting the flesh. They don't have to necessarily.
It's like rabies.
Maybe the blood, you know, keeps them alive.
Isn't, Steph? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you know. In 28 weeks later, the premise of that is they waited out, and all the zombies starved to death. So you're right. They're just slowly like wearing away because they're not eating. You would think there's plenty of bodies to eat, so they're not going to go hungry that way. So I don't know. I really don't know exactly
they showed some signs of it.
I mean, Boyle has said this himself, that these are not zombies. Like they're just pissed off, and there's a waiting period that they will die off given time. Like, because they're not, you know, sustaining themselves by It's like rabies. When someone has, or an animal or someone has rabies, they can't drink water, bro. There's a phobia of water.
Yeah.
Eventually that kills them. This is like rabies.
They're not reanimated corpses. They are
Right.
very much alive. They didn't necessarily die and then become, wake up from their death. You know what I mean?
They
Right.
might not be zombies, but this is a zombie movie. Because he's
Yeah,
using
it's
them like
tropes, a lot
zombies.
of
If you want to
tropes,
say they're the infected, whatever, I'm calling them fucking zombies. They could be infected too, but they're zombies to me. But
But that's why I said earlier that they're monsters in a lot of ways.
Right.
They're just another monster, another kind of monster. They share similarities with certain monsters, but I think they might be their own thing too.
Right. No, I mean definitely. They're a sub they're zombie adjacent, but they're fucking zombies to me. Stu, what are they to you, and what did you think of the film? What's your history with it as well?
Yeah, they're definitely zombies to me, and I saw it way back, man, but it's been a while. So yeah, this rewatch was a joy. It was I agree with everything you guys said. It's just from start to finish, I think it's great. I love what they accomplished with the characters in a short time, just in small scenes. Just like one of the scenes I really loved was when they're at the fuel stop and everything calms down, and Hannah or whatever is driving the car over to the group, and she like drives real fast and swerves. And like she gets out of the car, and Brendan Gleeson kind of smiles at her, just like, I don't know, that joy of life that the father and the daughter had, and how they kind of conveyed that through like those small moments, and like the toasting when they got in the apartment. I just thought it was like really well done. There was like I think the best pieces of art are ones that don't doubt your intelligence and assume that you can. And like this group of people was just like kind of decent and bonded from the get-go. I love Selena and just like her toughness, and just how like, and what Fable said about what's his name, Jim, a hell of a bicycle courier, dude. bro had the full character arc, like Fable said. I mean, that was, and we'll get into that in the last arc. That was like my favorite, but that was my favorite part of the film as well. Like his whole journey from waking up and like where he ended up. But yeah, I thought, just looking back on it now and seeing all the things that affected, especially for like in the time like that it was made, in the post 9/11 world, and all the things that it now represents. I don't think it was like it meant to take on all these heavy things that it now carries with it, but at the same time it carries all these things well. It has all these deep meanings and ways to look at it, and I think that's a testament to the art. And
well, what's interesting,
how great the movie is.
You bring up 9/11. It was actually, they were shooting on 9/11. The scenes that you see in the apartment, in Frank and Hannah's apartment, that was 9/11. And they were talking about it in the commentary. They're like, look, we had just got the news about 9/11, like right before this scene, and you'd never know it from this scene. But what a wild thing to be acting and then just have to
It's got that malaise, like that, just him wandering through those streets, and like I felt like it would have hit harder if I was an Englishman and I knew what those locations, because it's like going back and like seeing what some of them are. It's like, oh, that's their Times Square basically, or whatever. But at the same time, like that general malaise of like him just kind of wandering through and not knowing what's real, and and how fragile that like the structure of everything is. I don't know. That all felt very like,
those shots were extremely hard to pull off, by the way, where he's like wandering down, like you see like
They're
Big
so
Ben.
great.
They had to I think it was the commentary on the DVD, but Boyle said like they had a short window of time where they could film those scenes because they were essentially backing up traffic or holding off traffic from going certain routes for a certain minute. But apparently it was really difficult to pull those shots off, but I think they did damn good.
Well, they also say there's two things. They said they shot those scenes right before 9/11. And they're pretty damn sure that the way that the world changed after 9/11, that there's no way that they would have been able to actually get that done after 9/11. Right. And then the other thing is just what we were talking about, them shooting on these early digital cameras. If they would have been shooting on film, like they could have done it, they would have been able to film that stuff, but they wouldn't have been able to do it in the time that they were allotted. They were like shutting down stuff for like
Right.
90 second shoot. You know what I mean? Just doing things really, really quickly, letting people go. They said that this was like the club scene was like at the height that it ever was in London. They said they were really having a really hard time with all these drunken zombies walking out of the clubs at like 6 a.m, fucking getting in their shots and whatnot. But let's get into that. That's how I wanted to open it up, man. With these, the opening scene here, these views that we get in London, him waking up in the hospital, a la Rick Grimes. So you guys clear this up. I got 3 comic book guys on the panel.
Not to say.
What came first? This came first, right? Before The Walking Dead.
Kirkman was inspired by this. That was a homage to this movie.
Wow, for real?
How long
That's
after
awesome.
did the comics come out? Do you know? It was a couple years, or
It
was too long?
Well, the thing is, this movie came out in like November 2002 in like
The UK.
Europe, I guess. And it was like the summer of 2003. It was like June maybe or July 2003. And I feel like The Walking Dead was like the fall of 2003, maybe like 3-4 months apart. But enough time for him, especially for him to be a fan of this stuff. And he's like, hey, I'm writing an upcoming zombie comic book anyways. I might as well include this dope homage, especially considering 20 Days Later was such a game changer, you know.
Right.
A zombie comic book, he's a zombie fan. Makes sense.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah.
Right here. Nick, comic culture coming through October 2003 for The Walking Dead. It's so cool, man. I mean, we talked about like the influence of it. Just
wow.
We came out, let's just kind of go through it. 28 Days Later came out. Then 2 years later, we get Shaun of the Dead. We get the Dawn of the Dead remake. And then the Resident Evil movies in 2006. And just Walking Dead in itself. Just how the impact that The Walking Dead had on pop culture. And like that definitely came from here. And that's why I say, find me a more influential horror movie or a more influential movie on pop culture than this movie. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I don't know of it. So I don't know. It's wild, man. But Steph, what do you think of just the opening, man? Just everything we get, the way that we learn about how the infection originally started to spread with the monkeys being released, and just we've touched on it. But any more thoughts that you have on Jim wandering the streets of London?
No, I mean it's just a great opening from the opening scene with the animal rights organization trying to break free the monkeys and all shit just jumping to hell. I don't know. I really like how empty the film. Like you really do think like this dude's walking around London by himself, and you know there's some creepy scenes on top of that, like the church scene you guys brought up earlier, how he's like hello, and then it's like just like 3 heads pop up and shit, like they're just kind of
so weird,
which is weird. Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying. I'm gonna sprinkle in these notes that I took on like these surreal moments where it's like more style than substance. It's like, and they even commented on it in the commentary. They're like, we're the type of writers and filmmakers that we make the decisions with they don't say it like this, but they're gonna go with what's cool, what looks cool, what is scary, rather than what makes sense. And that's one of them. Like, why does that guy freeze? Zombies don't fucking freeze. Not these zombies. They run after you. But he doesn't make a noise. But it's like, how creepy and weird and surreal is that moment? And then also, there should be bodies on the streets. There should be bodies in the hospital. But it's cooler for there not to be. So just let there not be. Let us find that out in 10 minutes when he gets to the church, kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Quick question. Do you guys think like the infected had like some sort of they were like conscious a little bit? Because like the zombie towards the end kind of
the one they had chained up, like there was one of my favorite moments. The one they had chained up, Mahler, yeah. So like after whatever he showed him initially or whatever, and they were going out, and Jim was right there in the yard alone with them or whatever, and he reached out to Jim, and Jim kind of like leaned into him or whatever, and then he was like or whatever, and Jim was like, fuck you, motherfucker, you know what I mean? But it was like this great moment where he was trying to like he almost got him close enough to like, he was trying to sucker him in, and he almost got him close enough to like do damage. It was that like, I don't know, little moments like that made me think there was definitely more to these guys.
Yeah, right. and when he freed him too, when he shot the chains off, he kind of looked at him and was like, he was like, you know what to do. He's like,
Right.
good looking.
Go get
He started running.
Plus, like when they first
Um,
got to Frank and Hannah in the apartment, like they knew to like climb up those shopping carts or whatever. I mean, they found a way. Like, I mean, not
Right.
that that's necessarily hard, but at the same time,
Right.
I felt like there was like more going on.
They showed
and
some
it
thinking
was
capacity.
it was
There's
all
zombies
rage,
that we've
but there
seen that
was-
wouldn't have figured that out, right? Yeah. There's
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But real quick on the intro, I like Frank's entrance or intro a lot. He's this big fucking bulking dude, especially when he's like taking out the zombies. He's like, go down, go. But then it's like, I love the reveal they do of him. It's like the last thing that he does is take off his mask. So when you first see this, you're like, oh shit, bro. But then he like takes it off and he's got this smile,
Right.
And Brendan Gleeson took it.
yeah.
But yeah, Frank all the way, bro. But yeah, Frank was a great introduction.
He does. He's got one of those faces that's just got that nice roundness to it that just kind of makes it friendly. You know what I mean? You know those faces. Stu's got one. Look at it.
Yeah, look at it.
Bro, he does. I think that's why I love the man so much. You know what I mean? Like him, me, and Chris Farley. It's just,
Hell yeah.
you can't help but love it. Yeah.
Fable, what about you, brother? What's your thoughts on the setup of the film?
I mean, yeah, like what Link said, I think it's groundbreaking. I mean, we've seen it, but not like, I don't think to this extent, right? Like, because we see national monuments and recognizable sites of London totally empty. So it's, I mean, you said it, surreal. That's the perfect word for it. And the substance, life thing, whatever. The Van Gogh thing we were talking about earlier, you know what I mean? He's a surrealist painting. I think it's on the nose why they even showed that, because of the surrealism of this entire first act, right? Like this guy I mean, yeah, The Walking Dead we've seen it in that, but this is the first time, right? I think, like, you know what I mean? This guy waking up and just starting a movie that way, was just like, wow, like, what the hell's going on here? Like you said, when he walks into the place and all the dead bodies, and then the people wake up and they're moving all crazy, and you're just wowed by it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like,
Yeah, like he's still like the father coming out, and like he hits him, and he's like, "No, that was wrong of me, father. I'm sorry." Like, you know what I mean? Like he still doesn't know what's going on. It's just crazy. And then like people in masks rescue him in the gas station. It's like fucking nuts.
Dude, when I watched, because I didn't really say my history with it. I missed this movie. I told you guys before. I don't think I ever saw this when it came out. I don't think I saw it. I think the first time I saw the film was like 5 years ago. And the first time when they came out and it's Selena, we find out Selena and Mark throwing the Molotov cocktails. I thought that was zombies. I'm like, oh my God, these zombies are fucking way different, man. This is insane. But yeah, let's Stu, you got any more? You touched on it a little bit. You got any more to say on the setup of the film?
No, I just love the beginning. I love the beginning with the video montage and like all the craziness and destruction, and to find out like that's the 8. Like, I don't know. That was a cool, like, I thought, like, little way to kind of like segue us into what was going on. That was my favorite part, besides what everybody's already touched on, and just the wild sense of abandonment and everything being empty and all that good stuff.
Right. The opening is so cool to me. I love that before the London stuff, just the monkey stuff, that it's this animal rights activist. I don't know there's two things that I'm not sure, because they're smart writers, right? Alex Garland, he's a smart dude. Like, what does he mean by the news footage? Is he just trying to compare this to the actual real life violence that we're seeing today on the news? I don't really fully understand the connection there, but he's saying like maybe the way that we're going, this is where we're going to end up, kind of a statement. And then also, is there anything behind this? All starts from these far left radical activists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, is he making any kind of statement about the way he thinks about any extreme ideology or whatever? Like, is there any deeper meaning behind that? Any animal rights stuff behind it in general that goes through the rest of the film that I'm not picking up? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean,
it makes me
with
think.
Well, in terms of like the news footage and the violence the chimp was watching at the beginning. I mean, the army dude kind of said it. That was his view later on in the movie was he's just
Yep.
always seen people killing people. Like this is it's just the terms are different, but it's always been the same thing, you know.
Right.
Now it's a viral weapon instead of people just doing it of their own free will, you know. That's all that's changed. But I mean, I guess with that, you know, that's just like terms have changed, but it's always been mankind's always been violent.
Just on a broader fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think about V for Vendetta too, like the Alan Moore. You know what I mean? And like how it was also about experimentation. I don't know. That seems like a big British or English theme.
Right. I also just like the plausibility of it in a way. You know what I mean? Like if
Absolutely, you look at
virus,
COVID.
Pretty much the way, and this is kind of the way that zombies work in general, is you erase the brain other than the id. We're just on base instinct. But this is just saying it's kind of also like ramping up the id. It's like motivating the violence and the rage. It's not fucking unfeasible that something could be worked on that would do that to a monkey. It's not unfeasible that monkey could then bite a human and it would spread. And fuck, if there was a virus like that, this is what would happen. You know what I mean? That's what's kind of crazy about it. And that's why it's not just a horror movie, it's a science fiction movie as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like what the doctor said. He was like, they're on an inhibitor. Like it was like a simple, like they were suppressing something in the brain, you know what I mean? And yeah, I just kind of love how they opened it up thinking it was going to be freedom for that animal, and it just got like it got real fast. That was great.
Right. All right, hell yeah.
That's one scene I hope. Oh, sorry. No, there's one we kind of got it, I guess, in the beginning, just in terms of like how quickly chaos can happen from a situation like that. But Will, the dude that Selena was running with before she had to his ass.
I thought his name was Mark.
He had said like, you know, Mark. I get him mixed up. But you know, he had said what it like. He described like a scene of them in like a subway station, how quickly like chaos just popped off from that.
Love that.
Like, there's been a lot of scenes. Like, I think even in 28 Weeks Later, there was a scene that describes it, but we've not really seen that scene per se happen. Hopefully, they do something like that in 28 Years Later. What is it officially called? 28 Years Later.
That's what they're saying. See, there was a part of me. I said this to you guys, I think, but there's a part of me that was kind of hoping they would do 28 Minutes Later, and I want the cast to be the getaway drivers from the animal rights activist group, and they're going around the whole movie seeing what the fuck they did, and you know what I mean. Like that would be so goddamn cool. And I know there's been comic book series, so maybe they touched on some of that there stuff. I know you probably read that stuff, so I don't know. It's I would love to see that. Even give me like an episode, give me a 30-minute TV thing on it, whatever. A short.
I could dig it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Can I just shout out that scene also? Yeah, no, just before we move on. It's one of the most gnarliest scenes is when she's chopping her homeboy down with the machete. And
bro, like his
fucking arm right off.
No hesitation.
So brutal. Yeah, it's so brutal that, you know, as a first-time watcher, that's a hooking moment right there.
Right.
That's one of the things that makes it entertaining, makes you want to stick with it. So yeah, shout out to that scene.
That scene got me thinking. It's funny. We talked about this when we talked about Rob Zombie's Halloween. Weird comparison here, but it's not like if you think about the Romero films or even, you know, most zombie films, they kind of function in a way like slasher movies where you get these set piece kills. Like, oh man, the eye scene in Fulci's Zombie, or in some of the Romero movies, you got guts falling out of people and it's like a big kill scene. That is the closest thing that we get to a set piece kill. This movie doesn't function in that way where there are set piece moments. It's more plays out like a drama, and they're not interested in showing that. It's just I don't know. It's just a cool, interesting way that it's very 2000s, and it makes me wonder like how influential just on that tone that we've talked about of the 2000s was this on that more realistic tone that you got in that era. But I had said it before. We're like, oh, this film breaks up nicely into 3 chunks, the beginning and the middle and the end. And then as I'm watching the film again, it's like, I'm pretty sure this is a 4-act structure, but let's talk about act 2 and 3 all together, where it's basically the whole middle chunk of the film. We touched on it there, where they go to Jim's house and we have to kill Mark. We get some dramatic scenes there with Jim before that, and then all the stuff where Jim, our main character, played by Cillian Murphy, meets Frank and Hannah with Selena, and then they kind of have this found family like half hour of the film. The first time that I saw it, I'm like, this is getting a little bit fucking slow. Now I love it. I love like every second of that, and I understand everything that they're doing there and what they're setting up and how you need all that time to make stuff later pay off. But Steph, what do you think? Any thoughts on just the middle chunk of the flick?
I love the middle chunk of the film. Like I'm like you, like that's like I understand why it kind of, because you know other films are kind of glossed over or something like that, but with this one, you know, I didn't really notice until this watch too. Is like the last act or the last. It's like after Frank dies, there's still like a whole hour left of the movie. You know, that's when the whole military thing. I didn't remember the military part being so long. You know, but no, you need something like that because the movie gets so bleak towards the end that had you not spent some time with those characters under less dire situations,
right,
it might be a real buzzkill, you know. But no, that's part of like my favorite scenes in the movie are probably like them bonding, like when Jim's having the nightmare and Frank's like, you know, he's just like, you're having a bad dream there, and like Jim calls him dad, and you know that kind of tickles Frank inside and shit like that. Or you know the grocery shopping scene that reminded me like an 80s montage, but in a cool way, you know, where people are just having a good time, knocking out a feel good project. And I love when they're all like walking out the grocery store at the end, and like Frank sets his credit card down. It always bothered me when I was younger. I was like, well, what if the money starts working again, bro? Like come on now.
Exactly, dude. Here's something that goes with it. I never noticed. I never picked up on it, and I've seen the movie 3 times now, and you guys know me. I just miss shit sometimes. I never picked up that England was just under quarantine and this hadn't spread to the rest of the world. Like, you guys all picked up on that? It's pretty fucking clear. It's pretty obvious. They state that. I just heard about it.
I didn't really think about it until, to be honest, my first watch.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I remember my first scene. I don't remember picking up on that, or my first time watching this. But upon the rewatches, you know, there's that scene where Jim first escapes when they're about to shoot him, and he sees like, because the one dude that he was with was already kind of talking about how they've been quarantined. But then you see Jim like sees the jet in the sky.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh shit, yeah. But
it
before
just
that,
made
I
me
wouldn't
think,
say,
like,
guess
somewhere in the world, someone got a jet. I never realized, like, I don't know. It just, to me, it changes my perception of the movie. Like, I've yet to watch it again since getting this information. It's like, oh, I just assumed it was the whole world the whole time. And then when you watch the sequel that they put out, it's like, oh, the UK is now, the quarantine has been lifted. It's like, oh shit, it didn't happen to the rest of the world. They stopped it on the island. It's interesting. I don't know. Chill out saying what? He never caught it either.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch it.
I was kind of under the assumption, like on the rewatch or whatever, that you know, because it's, you telling me that is news because I haven't seen the sequel either, like in some time, probably since it came out. So like, when did the sequel drop?
2007.
2007.
Okay.
Yeah. The idea of it was introduced by the soldier with morals, the one that they ended up killing. Like, he said it.
That's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I caught that in the commentary. But
when he said it, it was him theorizing. So it was like a theory of his. Like, oh no, we're in quarantine, and you know that's what's going on here. The rest of the world is still good. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, if that was true, that'd be fucked up. Like, you know what I mean?
That'd be miserable.
But I didn't know if it was really happening. You know, like I didn't catch it.
Right. Hell yeah! All right, so middle chunk of the flick. What did you think of it, Fable?
Yeah, like Steph said, it's the character building moments for all of them. It's when you get to know who Cillian really is. You get to know who the lady is, and everybody. You know, you get to know their personalities. And you start falling in love with the characters, right? You start falling in love with Cillian, stuff like that. And this chunk of the film actually provides his biggest character arc, in my opinion, because when they stop to get the gasoline from the truck, and he goes inside the store or the shed or whatever was there, and the kid comes out and attacks him, and he went in there looking for trouble, right? He went in there looking for trouble. He went in there because he's taking cues from the chick. She's a badass. She's just on some kill or be killed type shit. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be on some shit like that too. And his whole moral fabric was challenged right at that moment. Right at that moment. I mean, he went through with it, but he felt like shit. And that's when you knew, I like this guy. Right. You know, or this guy is not a bad guy, you know, because like I said, we don't know him. We don't know him either, just like we don't know anybody he's meeting. But this chunk of the movie is where you get to know everybody.
And it informs you on another aspect of his personality, too, because if I had done that, and I was with you guys, I would have come in, I'd be like, oh my God, guys, I just had to fucking kill a kid. You know what I mean? And he's just like, cool, nothing happened in there. I got a hamburger, all's good. It's like, not me, bro. You guys would have heard about that.
Did you guys notice in that scene, the kid, it's very faint, but he says, I hate you, right before Jim bashes him in the head. Yeah, so they were supposed to, Danny Boyle flirted with the idea of them being verbal.
Wow.
In a sense, insane shit, you know, just screaming hateful shit. But at the end, he thought it was more effective if they were just kind of the hissing we've talked about.
Right.
Yeah, you can't hear the kids say, I hate you. You know.
That's interesting as fuck. Stu, what about you? What did you think of the
man.
Film?
So the scene at Jim's parents' house is one of my favorites, just for that, you know, Jim discovering his parents and all that. But then that's the first time that we get introduced to the zombie attack angle, where it's just this quiet run up. Like, I just love that scene. They're all talking there, and like you see that you're outside the house, and you see like the dim light coming in from inside the house, and all of a sudden you're just moving quickly towards the house, and then the next thing you know, it's zombies like through the window, and then they're coming down through. It was just a great, like, holy shit scene. Then homeboy gets like Fable said, homeboy gets, you know, bitten or whatever, and she does not hesitate. At first I was like, oh, she just like whacked his arm off really dramatically, and then I was like, oh no, she's not stopping.
That's what I'm saying. I thought she was like, oh, you know what I mean, we've seen that in zombie movies. You got a bite on your wrist, cut his arm off.
Yeah, she did it with the quickness. I was like, all right, yeah, she's just quick to, you know, but she just kept going. I was like,
takes 30 seconds, bro.
Let me take care of that arm, and then I'm getting the rest. Like, oh, okay. So
that's when it became very real, like, because they kind of like suckered me into that one on the rewatch, like, you know, that, you know, you're feeling sympathy for Jim, just, you know, as he discovers his parents and all that, and it kind of lulls you to sleep, and it's just like,
it's a brilliant jump scare, because it's so, it gets into that moment where it's him watching the videotape of his parents, and you're really getting, like, you know what I mean, and they seem really I remember clearly just looking at them like, god damn, they seem like really friendly, good parents. Jim, that was really nice. Oh god, you know what I mean.
That was another style over substance moment too. That whole watching the video sequence, because the way it was crossing and the way he was in front of it and the way they were moving it, it was very dreamlike. That sequence right there.
Was he watching the video? I thought like
he was like, they were watching old home videos. No,
I took it like he was like reliving a memory, and
it was shot in a way where it looked like that. It looked like he was blending in with the video, but then they show a shot where he's watching it. So it's like, okay, it's not like that, but it just looks so dreamlike.
My man Nick says, wait, you cut the arm off? I thought you were supposed to pee on the bite. What have I been watching this? Nick, quit peeing on people, dude. I'm fucking sick of telling you that, bro. Come on, man.
But also, so I forgot most of this movie, but one thing I did not forget was when they got to the tunnel, and the way they shot that with the shadows on the wall. The first time I saw them go through the tunnel before the horde even showed up, I was like, and I saw them that shadow on the wall and just how it looked, I was like, oh shit, I did not forget this. That was so well done with the mice, and like the way they built the terror with the shadows in that. I just love that scene so much. So yeah, and I completely agree with what Link was saying about Brendan Gleeson. as Frank, and like the intimidating like riot police soldier turned to like smiling, serving him cream de menthe, like, you know, where are the celebration glasses and all that. I just loved his like, fuck it, while we're in the wild horses scene, you know, when he's blowing a kiss to him, like that dude knew how to fucking celebrate life. And it hurt me when you know, we'll get to it, but it hurt me to R.I.P. Frank, man.
The grocery store scene, this is another
Yeah,
thing.
of course. Yeah.
I like it even more after you guys know I never watched Dawn of the Dead growing up, the OG, and that's a movie that I slowly have introduced myself into it past couple years, and I was always like, oh, I like it. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. Totally fell in love with it recently. Like I get it more. I get it's exactly what this movie's doing. It gets slow in the middle chunk to make the payoff better later. And that's what I never appreciated about Dawn of the Dead. And now it's like, here's the thing about zombie movies, and that movie in particular, and zombie video games. It can be going so well for so long, but all it takes is that one mistake. And to make that pay off, you need to spend time with the characters. You need to have some normality and just some regular life. So then when you do make that mistake, it's like, fuck, they got you. You know what I mean? So that's why it works.
And that's how come The Walking Dead's been on for
right.
That's basically the whole thing.
Yeah, just to go off of what Stu was saying, that tunnel scene and the imagery in that is some of my favorite like zombie imagery, period. With the shadows, the bit with them running over top of the cars, even the rats, and just like when they're going off at the end and the zombies are chasing them, just the way that last zombie like kind of gives up is just
gives up. Yeah.
Something unique about it. I guess they hired majority athletes. They didn't want actors or dancers, which you normally get, but they wanted athletes to play the zombies because like, what can athletes do? They can move in ways that normal humans can't. So let's utilize that and get a bunch of probably soccer players. It was over in England, but I personally kind of love that middle section of the film, and then it leads up, Stu, like you were alluding to the death of Frank, which is kind of the moment of the movie for me. Just the way that they do it, the way the blood drop coming down in his eye is such a unique way to do something that we've seen 1,000 times. Like we've seen one of our friends get infected, turn into a zombie, and somebody's got to kill him, but we've never seen it done in that way, and the way that it's like, it's the moment that we've all been waiting for. We're getting to the military, we're getting to our answer to infection, and then it's the saddest moment of the movie. And then we get saved, kind of. We think we're saved to find out that we're not. So it's like, God damn. To me, that's like top-notch writing, just like brilliant shit. But any thoughts on that? And then let's get into the final act of the film with all the military stuff. But that's a pretty big moment if you guys want to shed some light on the Frank kill or death.
It's heartbreaking, man. Like, you know, Frank was the heart of that group, you know. So, you know, he was the optimistic one that, you know, and even in shit situations, Frank was trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And just, you know, because it had like that's one thing I like about these zombies or infected. It's like in The Walking Dead, someone gets bit, they could take days to turn into a zombie, and this shit is 30 seconds. You know, 30 seconds from the time you're bitten or scratch, whatever. It's not a lot of time. I mean, it's like Selena said, in a heartbeat. But it's like even with those like 30 seconds, bro, like Frank was trying to be the good guy, you know, instead of going crazy or just being, because he was already upset. He was already upset with what's he do? The first thing, you know, he apologizes to his daughter for losing his cool, knowing the shit that's coming. Just a heartbreaking moment, and it just gets darker from there. It was like that was like the catalyst for shit to just be super dark, was losing the heart and soul of the group, and which was Frank, you know. But it sucked.
Selena sells it too. The girl, when she's like, he's infected, Jim, kill him. It's so good. Like her performance in the whole movie is phenomenal. But let's just all share our thoughts on Frank before we move to the military part. It's a pretty big moment. If Fables, do you guys got anything you want to throw in on that moment before we move on?
No, not really. I think you guys summed it up pretty good. For me, I you know, Frank Frank is awesome. You know, you love him. He has a big heart. He loves his daughter. He wants to help save or fix whatever's going on. He's got hope. You know what I mean? And this is the part not only where he dies, but his hope dies.
Right.
I think
you're right, because it's our guy that he was the hope of the movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that
because I don't know if we're getting into
themes. I think that's so accurate.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we're getting into themes later on.
No, for sure.
No.
You want me to just say
whenever? Yeah, whenever they come up, brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, like, I think a lot of the people in this movie, they end up dying because they gave up in some sort of way, and that's the moment where he bites it, is where his hope dies. He dies. You know.
I think that's so accurate because, like, right before the crow happens, like he gets there and it's just not what they want it to be, right? And he's disappointed, and like he looks up and the crow's just pecking at this dead, and he's like, cut it out, you know? And he wouldn't even be looking up and yelling at him if he wasn't frustrated with the situation. And then I love how you get the camera like through the blood drop just falling down to his eye. That was so like great. And then it went from like immediately goes from this tight-knit family and she's yelling, you know, kill him, and you think, you know, Cillian Murphy's gonna do it or Jim's gonna do it. And then the shoulders just shoot the shit out of him, and it's like on him, and like you're like, man, this is what's going on. Like like Fable says, like a certain amount of hope dies right there. Like, you know, I don't know.
Plus, it's a great way. It's just a great way to introduce the soldiers.
Yeah, it is.
So they're supposed to be the saviors, but they're wearing these masks. They look untrustworthy, and they just
I love that, and like when they're right into the house, and just the look on their faces when they're in the back of the truck, and then like them looking at them out in the courtyard, just driving the car around in a circle, being idiots. Like, I love how they all convey, like, man, what the fuck did we just get ourselves into? You know what I mean? I love how that uneasiness just continues to rise.
Chill out, man. 30 seconds. Did anyone else think VD when they saw this? Chill.
Yeah, that's when he yells at Selena too, man. You know what I mean? Where she's like, come on, let's get out of here. He's like, oh, you want to go? And she's like, yeah. He's like, fucking where?
Yeah.
Because this was it. This was it.
Yeah, I just like how you can really the movie does a good job of making it realistic enough to be like, where the fuck would I go? What would I do? Yeah. With a lot of apocalypse movies, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as realistic as this one does, or as grounded. But so yeah, we get like Link, you alluded to it, like I think it's like 50 minutes or something. There's like 45, 50 minutes of, and this is another part of the movie that I don't think I fully appreciated the first time. I think what makes me appreciate this even more is really diving into the Romero films, seeing the trajectory that his franchise goes. And when it gets to Day of the Dead, it's all about the military and the government. Because that's what's really cool. You guys remember in the grocery store when Jim first meets Selena, and Selena's kind of giving the exposition and catching us all up on what's been going down. When she gives her little speech of what's been happening, it pretty much runs through the first 3 Romero movies. She's like, it started in rural areas, and then it made it to the city. And then she's like, the media went down, and we lost contact with the media. So that's Night of the Living Dead, and that's Dawn of the Dead. And then he's like, what about the government? There's got to be a government. She's like, no government, no military. And that's Day of the Dead, all about the government and the military. So, and I don't even think that was intentional. Watching Alex Garland or listening to the commentary, he said he had 2 intentional nods, and that was this section of the film with the military. That was like the Romero section of the film, and then the grocery store bit. That was his nod to Dawn of the Dead and the consumerist kind of fantasy that happens in there. But in a way, the whole movie is kind of a nod. Like, you can't get away from Romero if you're making a post-apocalyptic zombie flick. It's so cool in that way. But yeah, let's get into it. What do you think of the last chunk of the movie with the military, where what we find out is they've been following this message, but the general or the sergeant or wherever the fuck the guy is that was Doctor Who for a couple seasons, they sent out this message promising the soldiers women. We got to have women. There's 9 of us left. None of us have what we need to give a future to mankind. So it's like what they're doing is important. We do need this, but obviously the way that they're going about it is completely fucked on every level. But it's interesting as all hell. So what do you think, Steph?
Very, very bleak, man. I was wondering like how would I have handled the last act or hour of this movie had I not gone like the military route, you know, like yeah, I don't know. I almost feel like I've been trying because I've never really like analyzed it. I always loved the entirety of it, and I still love the entirety of it. But it's like the third act, it kind of I can see how it could be hit or miss with people.
Yeah.
And it gets super, super dark, and it's like I'm wondering like how would I have changed the third act without introducing the military? Like you get like crazy gunfights with the infected, but I almost feel like the most effective zombie scenes are the ones that when they're at the beginning of the movie when they're not surrounded by all this gunfire and shit like this. The doctor, the general dude was an interesting character, bro. I almost felt like he might have been asexual or gay because he didn't really seem to need. He was doing this for his men, not for himself, you know. He was always kind of him and Jim had a interesting relationship where he's always like rubbing Jim's head or touching him on the cheek, or there's some undertones there. But
Well,
no, the general.
Alex Garland was kind of talking about it as in the way he wrote it was that Frank was one version of a father figure, and he wanted to write this guy as another potentially like dangerous father figure kind of a way, which the age
I can see
didn't. I didn't fully read it that way that he was laying it out because their age seemed a little too close for me. But that's what he says he was going for.
Right. Now he I don't know, he didn't. It's like he was an interesting character. I don't really care for the army dudes too much, to be honest, my man. Like it was just kind of like if we're jumping from the fire to the frying pan. I guess it makes it's more. I guess it makes it more of an effective film because of that's like Jim's growing point, I guess, because at the beginning of the movie, he's a scared, timid dude. By the end of it, he's taken on a whole fucking army. Well, it's not a whole, there's only like 9 people, but he's taking on like 9 trained military. He's just a bicyclist, my man. And he's going up against infected when he's got no shirt on.
That man ain't no bicycle.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
The way the rain is coming down. Yeah, he's shirtless. He's fucking Rambo out there. Yeah.
I love how they shot it too. Like
so I guess
the cameras, the angles, like you didn't know if he was infected or not. You know what I mean? Like early on when he's like running by, like when he brings the general and like that one guy out to the roadblock or whatever. Like I love how he's like. I love that whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, bro.
He looks like he's one of the infected, to be honest.
Yeah,
he's just got the bloody mouth, the cut that he's not bothered to wipe off. It always bothered me at the end when Selena's like, they did that whole took longer than a heartbeat, and they start kissing and shit. But I'm like, oh my god, he's got so many cuts on it. Like, are you not getting blood in your mouth? Are you not worried about getting blood on you? It's like that movies always take me out of it because I'm like, no, bro, wipe yourself up real quick. But I guess in that aspect, like I can't really think of how I would have leveled Jim up without the military. So I guess it works in that aspect. Like it brings.
Can I
Jim
just say I will?
Circle.
We talked about the deleted scenes. I don't know what all deleted scenes you guys have seen because on the Blu-ray they have a completely different. At the point that Frank dies, there's a completely different. The military never gets introduced into the movie, and it goes a fucking radically different route. They never filmed it, but they did the storyboards for it, and in the special features, Garland and Danny Boyle, they fucking acted out, and all you guys all saw that.
I looked up I saw it on YouTube or something. But yeah,
basically, I'll just go through it real quick right now. Like the way it goes down is they tie Frank up. They don't kill Frank. The military doesn't show up. They keep on searching for the answer to infection, and they find this guy behind a door that says, I've got the answer to infection. But what we need is all of your blood. And they run the fucking test, and they find out that Jim has the same blood type as Frank. and he could take all the blood out of his body. And he could put it into Frank, and he could save Frank. And Jim dies, and Frank lives at the end. That's the route that they were attempting to go, but they couldn't write their way around the fact that how are you going to not infect the blood when you're doing the transfer? It's, you know what I mean? It's
Wait, so that was the whole thing, was Jim was going to do an entire blood transfusion to save Frank
and kill himself. The movie was going to end with Jim tied to a bed in a hospital, twitching like he's becoming infected, and all of them are leaving while he's tied up as a zombie in a bed, like the way he started the movie. That was just an idea that they were playing.
Right? Yeah.
Interesting though. I love the passion that those two had to act it out and put the storyboards and the special features.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love these two. After watching the special features and their like commitment to it, I don't like when people, you could tell like they distance themselves from their movies and don't like love their movies as much as we do. It's like, don't be too cool for school. Like they love this shit, and it shows in the features. It's fucking
absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree, bro. Great point.
But Steph, did you have more, or let me set its Fable?
Oh no, yeah, I enjoy it overall. It gets very. Before this watch, it never really hit me how dark and depressing this last act gets. But at the same time, it's necessary for Jim to be, to make his transformation and go from this timid dude to like a protector, So I respect it.
Hell yeah, brother. What about you, Mr. Fable?
I enjoyed it. I think it was necessary for the story. I like this better than what you just said.
Right.
I think that they haven't met anybody crazy yet, right? So this is the crazy part. This is where you meet the humans, who are probably more dangerous than the monsters outside that you're running from. You know what I mean? And which is another Romero type theme, So I think they explored it here very well. I like the general guy. I like Link said, that he wasn't a mustache twirler. He was a little weird. He's got a little undertones to him, layers, like he said. And I particularly like the like, I don't know, the sexist dumbass one that is like fucking the crazy one, the one that took the chick that was gonna take.
I'm gonna have me the black.
Yeah. That guy, man, his accent was so thick, and he's totally from over there, wherever they're from. He's totally from over there.
He's from deep in there,
yeah. So I like that guy. I enjoyed that guy, but besides maybe 2 or 3 of the soldiers, the rest of them weren't interesting at all. So what Link said about it getting boring or dragging or whatever, but I do agree with. This is where you get the arc where, he becomes a badass and he does what he's got to do. And I think there's a lot of letting go with him at this point, right? Like anybody who's in a life or death situation, you know what I mean? They have a gun pointed to their head. There's no way for them to protect themselves. You kind of let go right there at that moment. And it's like almost blue balls in a way, right? Like, because he didn't get shot. So it's like, oh, I'm free now, motherfucker. You shouldn't have left me alive. I'm going to kill everybody. You know what I mean? I'm free of all of this shit now. I'm not scared anymore. You should have shot me.
Right.
What he's saying. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, brother. What about you, Stu the Slayer?
Oh, man, it was great. It was dark, but there were so many great moments in it. I loved how, it was like this general who was like obviously like, Lord of the Flies, toxic masculinity. I love how like we kind of got the feeling of how everything was at dinner, like, and how they followed him. It followed him like walking into the dining hall where everybody was chanting and shit like that. I thought that was like a great intro to like how it was, and like then he has this scene where he professes, it's just been humans killing humans, etc., etc. But I don't know. There were so many great scenes in this. I loved when Hannah got strung out on the pills, and she's like, "You're gonna die. They're coming for you next." And then the lightning strikes, and then homeboy's right at the window. That was such a great shot, dude.
I think this is the scariest zombie movie that I've ever seen, at least up until this point. As far as like, there's like 3 or 4 jump scares in the movie that are all like, people talk a lot of shit about jump scares, but when they're good and they're earned, it's like, I love it, dude. And that is a great one because it's scary. Just there's the one we mentioned earlier at Jim's parents' house, and then there's that one where it's just the sight of this fucking red-eyed guy on the other side of this glass that is fucking terrifying. And then the other one is that I can think of is at the beginning of the movie when Jim's wandering London and the car alarm goes off. And that just makes me jump. They said originally there wasn't the music there. And they said when that car alarm came, it said it just was giving people heart attacks. And they're like, dude, it was too much. Like and the music, I really wanted to mention that. I love the way at the beginning, the way that the music just slowly builds up to the point where he's just looking at all the missing people, and it's just it peaks. It's the music in this, the whole film is. I don't want to say it's great because there's corny, shitty bits of music.
There is
all effective.
I completely agree. Like some of it is great.
No, I think the music is fantastic. Boyle uses this. His name's Brian Eno, but he's a prestigious like film music dude. He worked with like Kanye, but he's good with like that ambient music. Like when Jim's watching the video of his parents and shit, there's the ambient like trance music going on in the back. It gives you like this warm feeling. And he used that quite a bit subtly in this film, which I think is why it kind of comes off as such a like an emotional, like well acted film, because some of the music being used in the background.
You know, the bit that I think is corny is I think it might be an actual nod to the cheesy music that we hear in Dawn of the Dead. You know what I mean? That like wacky ass.
Well, I was gonna say that it sounds like to me the homage there is to Italian horror.
Right.
Is the musical choices here is an homage to Italian horror in a lot of ways to me. The way that because like there's songs with beats, like actual beats, and
right,
kind of like a score, you know, like a
right,
straight instruments, you know.
You are right, because it's more like a band doing what would normally be a score in a film without like drums and there's guitars, yeah.
But hold on, Act 3. 2 more things I want to say. When Jim drops down and like commits the final kill on homeboy who's got Selena with the eyes and all that, and she doesn't know if it's him, and what's the quote? What does he say to her?
More than a heartbeat.
Longer. Dude, it's so great. Such a great.
I've been saying it also.
Right.
Right. It's such a great time. Like I just love that so much. And like how like you don't know, like you really don't. Part of you knows that he's okay, but part of you does. Like man, this dude is going all out. And then also when Hannah get in the car and Hannah backs up and gets homeboy like.
That's so cool.
Yanked out, bro.
That's like one of the like fuck yeah moments in the movie for me. It's like go Hannah, badass.
So all right. That's all I had. I just had to get that off about Act 3.
Boyle had said that he kind of shot because I was like, damn it, you know, upon this rewatch, I was like, Jim, why aren't you saying something to Selena, bro, so she knows? Like you're just kind of coming in here like an infected, you know, attacking, being super violent and savage, like especially with the whole gouging out the eyes, like, you know, beat his ass, slam him against the wall, but then it's like you're gouging out his eyes and taking your time with it, man. Like that just seemed unlike Jim up until that point. You know, Selena should have naturally swung on him, but she didn't. But Boyle said he shot that in a way because he wanted the audience to kind of question, like, has Jim become infected since the last time we saw him?
That was great. It was so well done.
I like the way Alex Garland in the commentary, he words it. He's like, in a way, he has become infected with rage, because rage in itself is contagious. You know what I mean? That's mob mentality. That's violence begets violence kind of a thing. And he's infected with rage at that moment because he's been fucking wronged. So it's so goddamn interesting. But I feel like we done did it, man. I feel like we could go for quite a bit longer on this third act because there is quite a bit more. I'll just say a couple. One of my favorite moments. I already mentioned the rain, but the fact that the rain is there and it looks so good on film, and Jim looks good with his shirt off in the rain. But when he dives into that pile of bodies to escape originally, just the look of the pile of bodies in the first place, and just the way that he dives in it and fucking escapes from them, his whole bit where he's out there being Rambo is just so cool to me. But yeah, let's go ahead and grade this thing, and then let's just touch on our thoughts on the sequel that's coming up. Link, I kind of want to know what you think and what you're hoping for out of the sequel, but let's grade this thing first. You guys down in the chat, if you've seen 28 Days Later, let us know your letter grade. So what you think, Steph? I C, maybe a C plus. Where you at on this thing, bro?
No, I mean, it's hard for me not to be biased on this film, but it's every time I watch it, I never get tired of this film, you know. Maybe certain parts at certain times, but overall, this is a movie I can throw on. I'm invested from the time I start to the time I end. And just with it being so influential, I in particular horror film, but just film as a whole, I'm gonna give this my biasness. I'm gonna give this A plus.
Booyah.
Still one of my favorite horror films, favorite films of all time. I don't know, like it influenced the Dawn of the Dead remake, which was so influential that two of the guys who directed and wrote it headed up DC Studios at a certain point. And there's something to be said about that.
Oh yeah.
And Cillian Murphy just had his biggest role in the past year with Oppenheimer. You know, he's worked with Christopher Nolan quite a bit over the years.
One of the biggest roles anybody's ever had. You know, one of the biggest blockbusters of all time.
Is it Oppenheimer?
I was one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. Fuck yeah! I mean, it took over the world. I would say, Barbenheimer. Yeah, it was a big ass deal. Yeah. I mean, to name another movie that was on everybody's lips like that, like
at a time when the industry was barely hanging on. So for sure,
right.
Yeah, A plus, bro. This is it's an influential film. For all its flaws, it's got a lot of pros, bro. You know, a lot of positives going for it.
Chill out saying, was it too? I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of school. It felt like it to me. It felt like Oppenheimer.
No, it was big.
It was a fucking blockbuster film. Fuck yeah.
Right.
Come on, bro.
E saying great movie, A minus, B plus range. A lot of people involved with this movie leveled up here, both in front of and behind the cameras. Hell yeah, dude. Like the people that came out of this movie have done great things since, man. Like great things since. A lot of the cast, and like I said, Alex Garland, the writer, going on to direct. What has he done outside of Ex Machina? That's the one film that I've seen of his that I fucking love. But I know he's done a couple.
Ex Machina is so good.
Men was all right. Dread, he actually, the cast has said it, but he's uncredited. But he wrote the script for Dread. But he goes
the Carl Urban joint. The Carl Urban joint.
Yeah, that was him. Devs was a really cool show that came on Hulu.
Oh yeah.
Chill was being sarcastic. Okay, good. Sometimes I don't know. I'm not quite as plugged into pop culture as you guys might believe me to be, because sometimes I'll be like, wait, what?
Shit, I was shocked that it, you know, but it is what it is, you know. But I don't know, when I hear blockbuster, I think of like, you know, because Barbie was a blockbuster, you know, technically. But when I think of blockbuster, I think of like action films.
Me too. Right.
Which neither of those were.
Fair enough.
Right.
But
no, me too.
They were
different brand of blockbuster. All right, well, beautiful, man. We got an A plus from Link. We got an A minus to B plus range from E. We need a little bit of commitment there from you, E. If we could. But Fable, where you at, my brother?
This is the part of the show where Steph stops being my friend for the rest of his life. Because
I doubt.
This is a movie I could give two shits what you guys think of. It's a A plus for me.
So look, I had a hard time trying to grade this thing, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, it's not really wholly original here, right? Like I've seen this story before, and even the fast zombies, even though it's a first for the zombies, if you want to call them zombies, it's not the first time we've seen fast creatures, period, where people are stuck in a situation where something quick is chasing them or whatever, a danger. But like I said earlier, what makes this movie special to me, and you know that I can credit it for other things going forward, is the full arc of the main character. You know, Cillian Murphy. I should have known back then when I saw him fully nude the first time you see him, you know, that he was all in as an actor. Right? I should have known that. Should have clicked with me. I should have studied this guy's career closer. Unfortunately, I didn't take notice of him until he became the Scarecrow in Batman Begins. But even back then, he was killing it. But yeah, his arc is so whole. It's so cool to see him, you know, try his way to be a badass post-apocalyptic guy, but he's not really that, you know.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's love that drives him. Love, you know, and hope. And a better future and things like that. And you see that fully realized. And I think this is kind of the first time that you kind of see that in one of these kind of movies. Because like I said, the Romero, all the characters are tropey. They're the scientist, the crazy soldier guy.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the first time you see this kind of story being told in this kind of setting. And it's done so well to the point where if you've never seen Night of the Living Dead and this was your first zombie movie, this is a great first zombie movie, right? You're getting everything you need out of this genre in this movie. So I'm gonna go A. This movie's excellent from top to bottom.
Hell yeah. Fable's like, I might lose friendships over this. Hey.
Yeah, I'm about to say, bro. I thought you were gonna come in.
I knew you were coming with it.
Like, bro, it's like a C. It's like a C minus. It's like a C minus for me, bro. I'm sorry. This shit was trash. I've been waiting all show to tell you this was trash.
I almost got him. I love
it.
I was like,
he's excellent, bro. It's a classic. It influenced a bunch of stuff. Like you said, it jumped off the post-apocalyptic era that we had following this. It's like every movie was the shit future.
I know.
After this.
There was a while where post-apocalyptic movies, like, before they overdid it, like, if you would ask me, what's your favorite kind of movie? I'd be like, oh, fucking, what was that Denzel movie? Like, anything post-apocalyptic,
and
I just
honestly,
love. But now I'm fucking so over it.
Yeah, no,
probably
honestly,
because of this.
This is where I think it surpasses or excels or changes the game. Not the zombie part, not the monster part, because I've seen this. There's a trope. There's a bunch of tropes in here. It's the atmosphere. It's the different kind of, you know, way of doing things. It's just a different kind of thing. And I think anybody who watches this first time will have a great time with this. So it's gotta be an A.
Hell yeah, dude. I can see people having issues with it and not loving certain chunks of the movie, but you're right. It's hard to be like, oh, that's a bad movie. Like, no, this is a fucking banger. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Dude, where you at, my brother?
Man, it's definitely I'm definitely gonna go A for sure. I was struggling to go, you know, A or A plus, but it's definitely I'm gonna go to solid A for me. I mean, I feel like, you know, in this post 9/11 post-COVID world, this movie, like, revisiting it like now has so much to say, and I still you know, that's all we can ask from our best works of art is to keep informing us and keep inspiring us, and, you know, like, keep reinventing the genre, you know, even though this thing is you know, almost 2 decades old.
Right.
Or over 2 decades old, I guess.
It looks a little dated because of the look, but it feels fresh as fuck still to me.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, everything else doesn't feel dated.
Yeah,
just the themes and just the like you know we've already you know been talking about, but because of that, I got to give it an A. And, you know, of course, we talked about how many careers it's launched and all that is beautiful, but you know, I think these are the most important types of pieces of film and books and etc., the ones that we can hang on to that really represent an era or help, you know, keep us feeling a way about an era that we're still experiencing. I don't know. And the relevancy, like, I know all that, you know, the more we talk about it, the more I see it as a film for humanity and not like a zombie flick. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just I don't know, and that way it just feels like so much more authentic.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, to Link, I think you mentioned earlier that Danny Boyle doesn't consider it a horror film. In the commentary, I think he talks about like in the build up to it, they try to not sell it as a horror film. I
Right,
think
as a-
Cillian Murphy was like, "Whoa, hey, not, you know what I mean?" I want to be an Oppenheimer eventually. I'm not fucking this ain't a horror movie.
I just like
But no, but
I like how
in
you
the
don't
commentary, he
ever get
opens up
hordes
with
though.
like this is a horror movie, like, and they own up to it. It is a genre flick. It's a horror movie. They're
Yeah,
calling them zombies in the commentary, but because that's
No
what they,
jump scares, for God's sake. It's trying
Yeah.
to scare.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I just like
it's
how
more-
it's
But
never
I-
like mass hordes. Like it's
elevated,
like the hordes are
to
always
use a
there.
dirty word.
Yeah.
Elevated horror.
This was
It's definitely got those
A24.
right where.
A24.
Yeah, that's what I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I don't know. I know this is 20th Century Fox. I know it's 20th Century Studios now. Are they still under contract with them? This seems like it would be more at home for like A24
Right.
nowadays than like 20th Century Studios.
Right. I would assume they could do whatever the fuck they want. But yeah, dude, I honestly have no idea. But having said that, let's get into it. We've ran long, which means this has been a fucking great conversation, and this has probably been one of the most fun shows that I've ever done on here.
Yeah,
so I
dude,
appreciate you
this
guys.
is-
I appreciate you guys in the chat. I've been going back and forth between A and A plus all day, and I think it's so weird because I gave Return of the Living Dead an A plus. I fucking love that movie. Is this a better movie? Like, yeah, probably. But do I like the other one, the Return of the Living Dead, better? Yeah, probably. So it's like my only dings on the flick are the quality of the picture, which we talked about earlier. That is something that bugs me. If I watch it on a TV or something smaller, that might not bug me. But it's just like I used to be like a big way into photography. And so it's like when you're a photographer, you're always looking at like the focus point. So like I want this to be in focus. Something has to be in focus. And to me, almost the whole movie seems out of focus.
Except the end though. Like we didn't talk about that.
That
When
was
he
shot
wakes
on
up.
film. That was shot on film.
Yeah, because like, and I like that too. How
Oh, with the
there's
jack-
that brightness
Right.
when he wakes up, like in the bed, and there's that brightness to it.
Imagine
I love
those
that.
shots of London shot on film or shot on a modern digital camera. Just like it sucks that they took the time to do that, and we don't have those shots with the resolution that they deserve.
I know, I
That's a
get you,
once in a
I get
lifetime
you.
thing.
But I don't know. I like that rough nature of it because, like I said, gives
I
you
do
that
too.
camcorder feel, and a lot of his shot choices is very angled up.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very
I love that you said that, bro.
sideways.
I love that
It's
you
very
say that.
up. It's almost like a camera's on the floor, and
Yeah.
it's like a dead camera or something catching all of this.
It's not just angled up. Like,
Yeah.
like one thing I know, and I've watched a couple of Danny Boyle movies this week. I rewatched Train Spotting, and I watched Yesterday for the first time. So I've been walking around my house, fucking talking like this for a fucking week. So driving my wife fucking insane. That's more of a punish of fuck. I don't know what fuck I'm doing. But anyway, I've been very annoying this week. But what I was gonna say is he likes like perpendicular lines.
Yeah.
And it's this thing you're just
Yeah.
gonna find in architecture. So it's like obviously you're gonna see that in the London shots, but there's a lot of like specific, like when he walks past the bus is flipped on its side, just the angles of the bus and the way he's walked in between them when he's coming down the steps from the hospital originally and he's walking through those windows. He uses geometric shapes in really interesting ways that I just fucking I just love it. But I'm still gonna give the movie an A because the resolution, and I don't know if the ending doesn't just fucking kill it for me. That's what I was gonna say. They couldn't decide an ending. That's why there's 3 alternates. They never, in my opinion, they never nailed it. Here's what they said. They said with they had an ending where Jim dies. That's the alternate ending that we're talking about a little bit.
Right.
Jim dies, and it's very fucking bleak. And in a way, I kind of love that. But they said specifically this is a journey movie, which we've mentioned. And when watching it with an audience, they just felt like the audience deserved a better ending or a happier ending since they went on this journey with Jim the whole way. And it was overly bleak. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm just still
This
not.
is my problem with it. All right, so I like Jim staying alive and them whatever. All right, but here's my deal. We just got through a harrowing situation with a faction of the British military. Now all of a sudden they're fucking glad to see another military plane show up.
I know.
Like it's just everything's gonna be okay again. It's just like I'm kind of curious in that way. That was my one issue with it.
I kind of like that because we know that they might still be fucked. You know what I mean? But I agree. Yeah.
I mean, but those were like a faction of British, like those. I think those jets were like from German or some shit, Swedish or some shit like that. But
I like
Jim understood that was they weren't really. They were just people trying to make it. They lost their shit, of course, but they were essentially just people like them trying to make it in that
100%.
situation. They used to be. I mean, I don't know if they really ever answered that. I mean, I kind of thought that maybe some of those guys were people they could have picked up along the way, or maybe they could have been. I'm pretty sure they were military background, but they weren't official military.
They were like
some
give it 2 weeks, and Jim would have been wearing that outfit too. You know what I mean? So you're right. It
exactly.
Could have been. Yeah,
but I love how they had like the old British estate house. That was so like metaphorical. I thought, but I like for that end scene when the jet's flying in. I like how it's that same like when the zombies are running into attack. It's that same like, you know what I mean, like forward zoom movement. It's that same like zoom technique. Like I don't know, that was a cool little touch. I thought.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. Yeah,
I enjoyed. I mean, you're right. It is stupid that they would be like so excited to see planes and shit like that. You're absolutely correct. But I agree that I like the good, happy ending. Because so many of these movies they end fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So it's good every now and then to see the guys win, to see them happy or go on to something good. There's something about that. And I think it adds. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So an A from the whole panel, other than Missing Link, who's given an A+, which I'm fucking so on the board.
Yeah,
I could easily give this thing an A+. I mean, whatever.
Well, I mean,
movie. It's a great movie.
There are some knocks. I didn't ever mention, but I think like they're overly loud for no reason. Like, I mean, when the guy's driving through the tunnel, he's driving on top of cars. For God's sake, just wake everybody up. Hello, we're in this tunnel.
And they're all
smoking like
but what else could they have done?
See, I need to be with you when it goes down, bro.
Well, you're right. Like, my issue was when like the guy's like, oh, what were the generals pretty much telling Jim we need women, and Jim's learning, oh my God, they're gonna rape the women that I have with me. We need to get out of here. They've got him. He's like, we gotta go. Yelling and screaming. It's like, bitch, duck and fucking hide. Sneak out the back. Why are you screaming? Running out the front door.
Announcing
like, play the game, man. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, act like everything's all good, then be like, hey, go.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That was my thought.
None of it is never enough, though, to break it. None of it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
Agreed.
Exactly. Yeah. And everything is done to lead to more drama and more action and more fucking entertainment. So it's all good in the hood. So fucking great movie. Love the shit out of it. You guys in the chat, love the shit out of you. We got a lot of A+, we got a lot of A's. I haven't seen anything below an A other than E's, wishy-washy, fucking whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Just kidding. I love you. But let's quickly Link, any thoughts you have on what do you want to see 28 years later is what they're claiming it to be right now, and they're working on it. Who knows when we're going to see this thing, but any thoughts on that? I mean, I don't even know what I'm asking you. Other than that, you're probably excited. Do you want to see Cillian Murphy? Any thoughts, man? At all, you guys?
I was thinking about that, but it's just like if they go, I mean, I guess Cillian and them could easily pop up in a movie called 28 Years Later, but it's like I'm assuming if they do this, I don't know. They could easily stay within Britain, but I feel like they would go more wide scale.
Mm-hmm. Did 28 weeks later end in a way that was implying that the infection was going to spread worldwide?
It spread.
It did. Okay.
They showed like a footage of like the Eiffel Tower, and it was like infected. We were running towards the Eiffel Tower, and implying that it had crossed, from overseas. But I just want to be entertained, man. I would love to see the OG cast come back some sort of way. Hannah, I don't know if she's done anything since this movie. I feel like she's the only one of the cast members who hasn't really done anything since this. It would be cool to see her back. shit. Yeah, let's bring back the whole. Let's bring back the whole.
Hey.
No, you know, with the buzz that Cillian Murphy's gotten over the last year, bro. With Alex Garland stepping up in his own right as a director, I'd love to see how they bounce off each other, him and Boyle, in this film. I'd like to see the whole cast come back. To be honest,
Yeah.
I was saying earlier that scene where it shows how quickly, because I don't feel like we've seen it, how quickly people transform, but we've not really seen how quickly shit can pop. They kind of did in 20 Weeks Later, but not to the extent I want to see, I guess, as a fan.
Right.
Hopefully Boyle and Garland get to some of that. But no, I'm just excited, man. I thought it was never going to happen. So the fact that it's finally happening, like in an official capacity, I'm super excited and I can't wait, no matter what they do.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. Any Fables, do you guys have any thoughts on what you want to see? Do you want to see the beginning of a new infection? Do you want to see somewhere mid-infection? Do you want to see the world wiped clean and starting from fresh or anything like that? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, there's definitely got to be something new, right? Like there's got to be something new. I don't know what it could be. It could maybe be an infected mutated into something else. Maybe they're not just fast anymore. Maybe their limbs can separate. They can grab you or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Hanging off of walls and shit.
Yeah, maybe
I like that. Something new.
Yeah.
I mean, something maybe not the arms flying off, but the fucking something new. I almost have a feeling they have something new, and that's why they're doing it. They're like, we finally got the idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, and if not just the infected, maybe something new in this way of storytelling. Because these guys are not, cookie cutter directors or writers. I mean, they're very imaginative and creative. So I'm pretty sure they can work a new theme within this framework of this world. Something like that. But other than that, man, just put it wherever I could watch it. I'll watch it, man.
Right. Just put it on Sling TV. We'll find it.
Yeah, don't do this where I can't find it.
All right, Stu, finish us out, brother. What do you? Any thoughts, brother?
I don't know. That we're coming. Like, we're looking at a film that kind of like began this wave, and now they're coming in to make a sequel, kind of at the. Where are we at the middle / end of it? Like
it got over.
So many things have been done. So like Fable said, I don't know. It's got to be something completely new. And I wonder how involved, because I know Boyle was just an executive producer on the sequel, and so I wonder how involved he's going to be. And we'll see.
They're fully involved.
I think Garland.
Garland's the writer. It's this.
Garland did some second unit directing on 28 Weeks Later, like the opening scene in particular. That's why I kind of felt so. Makes sense, right?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. But I don't know. We'll see. High hopes as always. It's such a. I feel like even the second one was solid. Obviously not as good as the first, but a real solid sequel. So, and Danny Boyle, man, is one of my favorites all time. Like Trainspotting, so many classics this guy has made. So, I don't know who's the cast. We don't
know anything other than Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. That's all we know.
Okay, all right.
28 years later. So, I mean, I guess to put my thoughts on it, I guess I would love to see Cillian Murphy. I would love to see the cast. I guess that's the big thing. Fable, you kind of said the big thing. Something new. Some reason to make it worth it. But just to touch on what you guys are saying, like where we're at, I feel like zombie fatigue has fully set in. And I was thinking more about it, and it's like, damn, since I've really got more into horror in the past couple years, has there been a single fucking zombie movie that's been released that's caught my attention? No. It's like they don't even make them anymore. They go straight to streaming. It's like it's pretty much a dead genre. You can blame The Walking Dead for that. You can blame this movie for that because it blew up so much. Like Robbie was mentioned during the Night of the Living Dead that he's pretty much over zombies and he's kind of done with the subgenre. And it's like I hope that this can be the movie that kind of that gets Robbie interested in the subgenre. It gets people, kind of brings it back and makes it interesting on a movie, like a blockbuster movie way, not some new zombie TV show that's pretty cool or something that came to Shudder that's pretty cool, but something that gets the world talking about zombies.
It's just going to be tough to create.
I just gotta say real quick,
okay.
Walking Dead killed the zombie franchise. This movie reinvigorated. There was not zombies shit before this movie. You know, after this movie, that's when the zombie fad happened. But they didn't kill it. They invigorated.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying they killed it because it was a slow death. They brought it back and then it slowly died. It launched it. Yeah, you're right. It didn't kill it, but it launched it and eventually died.
This one feels like an indie art house film. Like, you know what I mean? It's just got that vibe to it. So, like, I don't know. I don't think.
Well, I was just gonna mention in the '90s there was nothing. I feel like all of us are close enough in age. I didn't grow up with shit. I grew up with no zombie movies. Link, I mentioned to you during Night of the Living Dead, it was Nazi zombies and Shaun of the Dead that got me like interested in zombies. It was, I mean, there was just not a single good American movie that people know with zombies in it.
And real quick before we move on or get out of here, shout out to Terry Gilliam talking about influences. I think this movie's influenced by Terry Gilliam as well.
Who's that?
It's a director of he's a British director.
He did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
He did 12 Monkeys, which was done in 1995, which also dealt with a virus outbreak. Supposedly caused by animal rights activists.
I forgot all about that. We'll be covering that on PCP movie night at the end of the month.
Where this might even be like, you could cross the streams on this and be like, hey, they're related. It's
totally.
Good call.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I had not even fucking thought about that.
Neither
but I had thought about fucking Zombie Fest. I've been thinking about almost nothing other than it. And we've been doing it all January. Kicked it off, me, Steph, and Robbie talking Night of the Living Dead. Go back, check that out. Last week, Stu and I talked Zombie and Return of the Living Dead. Next week, we're capping it off with a wild Taiwanese zombie flick. It's on Shudder. Go check it out. The Sadness, Blame Fable, and his amazing friends, as I mentioned. My brother, what do you got going on tomorrow? 9 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come join us over on One Collection Down YouTube channel for another episode of Blame Fable and his amazing friends. It's our new date and time. We're trying to go live Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think it'll make for a great vibe because I've always wanted to do a nighttime show. You could ask Link and Big Herm, that's why we came up with Blame Fable tonight. But that was at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon or the evening. That's not quite the night show
I love the ring of it though, man. Blame Fable tonight. That's a good ring.
But finally we get to do that. So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. And I mean, Chris, come on. I mean, the guy's awesome. Go check out his award show that he just did for the comic books, man. He puts on him and Pouch do an amazing job on that show. So we're gonna have him on, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the awards and how he puts that together. So come hang out, man. Come bring your drink. Bring your smoke, whatever you do, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you do on Friday night to get a little relaxed, it's all welcome, man. This is the new vibe I'm trying to bring now. We're trying to bring the relax. You know what I mean?
Beautiful, brother.
Yeah,
beautiful. I love it. I love it so much.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. And also we love Tuesday night Supreme Clientele at Dr. Doom Fan Club. Steph and Stu. Great episode this week.
Man. Thank you so much. Episode. Thank you, man. Yeah, we're back. Revamped format. Comics new and old. Shows we're watching. So on and so forth. We got new ideas, new segments. But yeah, man, as always, the show is a living, breathing thing. We're constantly changing and evolving. But yeah, we're back. Tuesdays, we'll be back this Tuesday at 9. Can't wait to continue our talk about the Marvel Knights era with Quesada and the handover and Marvel in 2000s and all that good stuff with my boy Steph. So check us out.
Hell's motherfucking yes, man. Love the show. Love the new format. Love
Thanks,
the
man.
thumbnails. And then I think Fable, you're gonna be here.
Yeah, thank you for the thumbnail, brother. My
You bet, brother. Monday night, PCP movie night, Casino, Martin Scorsese, always a good time.
Yeah.
Fable, you gonna be there, you said?
Yeah. You know, Robbie can't have one of these New York gangster movies without me. It's like I hung out with these guys or something.
You got the accent. It's like, you know what? We kind of need them.
Yeah.
All right. And then, as I said earlier, man, my man Manny, our man Manny in January, crushing it, man. He's fucking all over the place. If you like anything in the past like 30 years, he's gonna cover it. Ghostbusters, Batman, Rugrats. He's gonna do it, and he's gonna do it with style, with class, and with a level of sophistication that makes me a little bit jealous, if I could be fucking
Dude,
honest.
so fucking good.
So good, dude. So good. Man.
And I don't know if that was the end of the slides right there.
That's the end of my slides, brother. Yeah.
Don't forget to go check out Nick Comic Culture, who dropped some videos yesterday. His his haul video, what came out, stuff like that. He does 2 videos in one day. So yeah, go check out Nick Comic Culture.
Hell
yeah. With the new Marty Kenny logo. Shout out to Nick.
Yeah.
Big things happening.
Always. There's always big things happening. All right, man. I appreciate all you guys. Next week, The Sadness. Yeah, go sub up to everybody. Links in the description below and on the Blood Splatter Chatter homepage. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. The Sadness.